Very soon, the Dark Lord and his army will march all over Mordor. But a great power can be awakened to prevent it.
Can the curse be broken?
Destroy the Black Hand.
How?
Your power begets followers, willing or otherwise. Find an orc leader, make him a war chief, and all his soldiers will be yours.
An orc army.
We used a lot of different inspiration for both the environments and the characters, drawing from everywhere we could get our hands on people's interpretations of Tolkien's work, but we also worked directly with Weta, especially early on the ideas for the orcs and the orc culture, and what goes into these guys' society, not just cool looks, but the logic of it, the sense of what drives them, and all down to the very small details in their armor and weapons and clothing, the things that matter. Of they only have armor on the front sometimes because they don't plan on retreating. Those details that go into it. And then environment-wise, it's a place, Mordor at this time in the history is it's in transition. Sauron's been gone for thousands of years, so it can have a chance to grow back for the couple millennium to become more of a wild frontier with some life really existing there again before Sauron now moves back in and dominates it again and gets the industrialization going and starts turning it back into that hellscape that you see in the films. So kind of riding that line of this place being in transition between a wild natural frontier and back to an industrialized hellscape.
Lady Marwen.
Why have you returned?
What have you seen in your visions?
We took a lot from the appendices of the books, and there's a lot of those stories that are illuminated there, and there's just such cool epic tales and moments that I think it's not that it's inherently inaccessible, it's buried, right? And so not everybody has seen or read about it, and so it's an opportunity really to bring these epic, amazing tales to the surface and display them and bring them out to people who haven't heard, seen them or read about them yet in a very accessible way that can really keep people engaged in not just the surface level of what Aragorn and Frodo and these guys are doing, but that there's thousands of years, there's ages of history with cyclical stories with the same themes, and trying to speak to that as well, the authenticity of these themes as they keep coming up throughout his work. The source material on that, Sauron back in the Second Age when he comes to Celebrimbor is Anatar, the Lord of Gifts, and it's his fair form, and it's a beautiful place to explore the gray area. Like we're real proponents of the idea that Tolkien is not all black and white. That he has all these really interesting characters. That the elves are so interesting throughout their history. The fact that they do such amazing art. Celebrimbor is the greatest smith of all time, and just that extra layer of pride and the factor that plays into all of that. When he's crafting the rings of power, he's making some of the most amazing art he's ever made that has this sinister element to it because of that pride and that power. And so trying to again showcase that epic nature. The flashbacks that we have in the game take on this very stylized form to kind of representing the Second Age, and really heightened and saturated, and in a very stark tone. It's kind of a broad thing for me, but my favorite part of the game is the fact that the sandbox has all these different components, has all these different elements that all connect and combine in a crazy number of ways. Surprising things can emerge out of nothing, and the fluidity of going between stealth, ranged combat, bouncing around, captains from the Nemesis-Systems springing up when you don't expect them, shooting a fire, lighting everybody on fire, a wild beast showing up, catching fire, bumping into someone else, catching them on fire, the chaos and the unexpected moments that can arise. That's my favorite part. It lets us have so much fun when we're developing too, that after years of working on the same thing, you know, instead of it getting stale and boring, you still have so much dynamic, emergent action that you can come back and tell your coworkers about stuff that no one's seen before. It just keeps it fun and fresh for us too.
Run, you filth! And tell your master I am coming!
Yes. Let them carry word back to Sauron. When he comes for us, our pawns will be in place, and all Mordor will burn.
So the Nemesis system has a lot of components to it, a lot of different features and systems working together. That the Nemesis system is kind of our name for the whole bundle of it, but we've got a huge amount of variety in the character art, all different kind of parts and pieces that we're able to mix and match and manipulate a little bit, color and all this stuff, combining that with the different names and personalities, the strengths and weaknesses. There's so many different aspects that come together that you can basically guarantee you're not going to see the same orc twice in a row or across, especially in one game, but even across as many people's games as you want to check it out on, or however many playthroughs you want to have. So it's really the fact of combining so many different elements to make up what really counts as a unique orc there that can get a ton of variety. We're not putting any limits on it. We want you to be able to just have as many tools to play with the sandbox as possible, and really have as many choices and options for how you go about the missions. And that the domination is a really big, interesting twist on, you're not just killing everyone. You have the opportunity to go around, sneak around, and silently build an army before you engage a mission, or do it in the middle of combat sometimes, and kind of pick guys up as you go to help fight everyone else off. And so there's a lot of flexibility we built in, and so we didn't want to limit it that much. Ultimately, it's going to be part of the story, building up to, you're building this huge force to take on Sauron's armies. So we won't say anything more about it, but just that it's an important part of the game as story as well as the sandbox.